Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well. Now, during the referendum campaign, was Martin Lewis really 52% Leave, or was he 48% for Remain? Confused? Oh, you won't be when you watch the video. Because in this fascinating conversation in the Digital Culture Media and Subcommittee meeting on online harms and disinformation, Martin Lewis was having a bit of a conversation with Dr. Rupert Hook about trust, and the conversation went on to the Brexit campaign, and what Martin Lewis had to say was quite interesting.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Martin, for coming in. You're a journalist and a campaigner, but you're at pains to point out you're not a big political player. You've said this before in interviews, the one in The Guardian that says you're the most trusted man in Britain.
They say that, not me.
Their words, yes, of course, and not without some justification. Do you think that if you were a big P political party person, that would undermine that level of trust that people have in you?
In less than 3 seconds. Yes, instantly. Sure. And without any question of doubt. Look, I had a difficult job. If we take the EU referendum, which was a difficult time to be involved in any form of facing the public, there were these continued votes that came out that said I was the most trusted person on the EU referendum, even though I'd never spoken on the EU referendum. And so I was under a lot of pressure to come out with a view on it, which I didn't want to, because, you know, there's the paradox of independence that says you are independent until you come out with a view, and as soon as you come out with a view, everyone says, I knew he was on that side. Right, so we had this with the IFS. The IFS came out with detailed reports. It was asked to do an independent report. As soon as it came out a report, as it came out on one side, it was instantly accused of being biased. And I just felt, first of all, I didn't have the expertise. And secondly, I didn't really want to get involved because I didn't think it would make a difference. And there are many people who since, on the Remain side, have said, if you'd come out, you would have swung it. I don't believe so. If I had come out and told people to vote to Remain, for example, I think people would have said he's a Remainer. What I actually had, which was even more difficult, was I was asked on a programme by Tom Bradbury, and it was good journalism, and I'm a journalist and an interviewer myself. Right at the very end of an interview on something else, he came out and said, on the balance of probabilities, do you believe people would be better or worse off if we left the European Union? And it was a very straight question and rather a difficult one to avoid. And I felt that as a journalist, I had to give a straight answer. And my answer was, on the balance of probabilities, which and I said all this in there to be careful, which let's be straight means more than a 50% chance I think people will be worse off if we leave the European Union. But that does not mean I am right. That simply means I think there is a more than 50% chance. That was then used on Remain leaflets. Originally it was used as one of the pictures and one of the quotes, and then I think there were leaflets out there that just had a big picture of me with the quote, on the balance of probabilities we will be worse off if we leave the European Union, without the caveats, without anything else in there. I had then written a guide on how to decide how to vote in the debate. It was not what to vote for. It was how to decide what to vote. It was about doing your own risk assessment based on what matters to you and talk through, and actually we did some numbers on it. I think it was just over 50% of people who read it decided they'd vote Remain, and just under 50% decided they'd vote Leave.
Not 48, 52.
We didn't get that accurate on the numbers, no. but people came to me from both sides and said I read it and it helped me make my mind up, which is what I wanted to do, to put some numbers in there, to try and give what I could. Again, it was imperfect because everything is. And, you know, it was an imperfect scenario. But when it came to the debates in that space, there was one time I was asked if I'd be involved in a debate, and I'd been very careful to say I'm not taking a side. And they said, well, you're on the Remain side. And I said, well, I'm not. I'm trying to sit this out. I'm not going to give anything polemic. If I'm going to talk, I'm going to try and talk about how you make the decision, not what the decision is to make. And they said, no, you're on Remain leaflets. I said, I'm on Remain leaflets without my permission and without my consent. But even that meant that I got a number of people who wanted to kill me. As we all know, that debate, you know, just online. I mean, you get those. I got a number of whatever. I'm sure you've had them.
Well,
yeah. Trust me, I get them exactly the same. Even that, and instantly, then I start to get remarks. You're a whatting Remainer. So as soon as you come out, if I were to come out tomorrow and say I'm Tory, Lib Dem, Green, SNP, Plaid Cymru, and any others you want to name. Let's not, right? If I say I think you should vote that way, instantly everybody who does not think that way would discount my opinion. And I think the right way to be, and to be fair, I have not voted for the same party at every general election in my lifetime. So I'm not tribal, I'm not a member of a party. I try and do what I do from a level of independence and lack of bias, although as I always say, that is not a perfect art. And I think if I did, I'd instantly lose any trust that people have. And it has been very difficult over this last year when I felt I had to stick my head above the political parapet on energy. You know, I never attack political parties, but I will, when it's a specialist area that I believe in, attack a policy. And I put my head above on energy and was very vocal on the fact that I thought that people may die this winter unless we started to put some protections in place. And obviously the zombie government we had in the summer was devastating for not making a decision in time, and the structure of the way that that operated was devastating. And you question, how far do I go? How much is that getting big P political? Small P political I'm fine with. Big P political I'm not, party political. And it is a very difficult line to tread, to be honest. When you believe in something passionately, and it's not agendaed against a party. I've worked with all parties, and often do, and it works very well, and I find most people are really receptive. But sometimes you will be seen as being pushing one way or the other, and it's difficult.
You think there has been a shift in perceptions of trusted voices between Brexit, which was a gut feeling, we've had enough of experts, to COVID, where there was a podium with scientists? The politician was always flanked by the chief medical officer and chief nurse, whoever.
I'm afraid I have a more depressing viewpoint than that. I think our nation is polarised in a way I haven't felt it before. I think Brexit started that, and I think the pandemic started it more. I may be influenced by being highly engaged in social media, which is where you see, and you sometimes have to remind yourself, I do Twitter polls, and the poll will be 80% in one direction, but all the comments will be from the 20% who are vociferous and angry. And I do think the level of anger, that we are a divided country financially. £190 billion of savings was built up during the pandemic, extra savings, and yet we're in the midst of a cost of living crisis that sees other people in absolutely desperate stakes. And you see people at the moment saying things like, how can there be a cost of living crisis when everybody's shopping and they're going to signing up to their streaming services? We're a polemic nation. The impact on people is different. We're a polemic nation because of Brexit. We're a polemic nation financially. We're actually even polemic over our views of the pandemic, of how strict the lockdown was and whether vaccines are a good or bad thing, right? And I do think the level of division and anger in society at the moment, for me, feels far, far stronger than it was a decade ago. And I don't think that that's a good thing. And I don't think, trusted, there is no one who is universally trusted. Nobody is universally trusted. And for everyone who is trusted by a lot of people, that means the ones who don't trust them will be more vociferous about why they're not trusted. And I know that for a fact.
Now, you could say he was being very, very guarded, wasn't he, about the subject. Not surprised. But I got the feeling he did say later on that in the field that he does work in, he believed that leaving the European Union was not the best route to take. But he also did say that he would never say that what he believed was the right one. Personally, I think he was just sort of like sitting on the fence. And I get the feeling also that he did vote Remain. But I understand why he didn't want to be drawn either way, because, the slavery he got, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? And we are living in a bit of a polarised society, aren't we, at the moment? But anyway, I just found the whole conversation really revealing and really interesting. What do you guys think? Leave your comments below, and till the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.